Tonight, Parliament approves 2022 budget after it rescinded the rejection of same last Friday. In fact, as we speak currently, the minority side didn't return to the House, so this was a one-sided decision by the NPP side. The minority side have indeed decided they will not be participating, but the majority side addressed in the news conference, insisting they have indeed acted constitutionally. We are live in Parliament as this unfolds in this breaking news story.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Together we can. In the last few minutes, Parliament has approved the 2022 budget. This comes shortly after the House, a one-sided House made up of NPP MPs, rescinded Friday's decision to reject the same budget. In fact, as we speak currently, Evans Mensah, who is the majority leader, is addressing a news conference shortly after the Parliament had ended its proceedings after they approved the budget. Let me take you live now to Parliament.
Let's heard the Evans Mensah, who is majority leader of the House, explaining what has just happened in the chamber. He explained that.
Jamie Sabosu just finished addressing the news conference there, and we'll be taking you back there live because there's a flurry of activity that we are seeing on the floor right now. What we don't know now is where the minority side are. As far as this is concerned, with the decisions that have been taken. I want to bring in Parker Wilson, who is joining us right now on the telephone line, because there's a lot to go through for you. In fact, I want to take you to the decision that was taken a short while ago by the Joe Sowusu, who was sitting in the chair when this happened. What happened, just to walk you through what had happened today, was that the minority side wasn't in the House, but the majority side had stayed in the House for the rescission and then the vote. But to do that, they had to be at least half of the House. They had to make up at least half of the House, which, as you know, if you divide the 275 MPs, you come down to 137.5. It has been approximated to 138. So there had to be a count first before anything can happen. This is where Joe Sowusu, who was today the Speaker of Parliament, as in his capacity as the first a Deputy Speaker, took charge and asked for a count.
Honourable members, the number presented to me by the clerks at table is 137 of you plus me, MP for Bekwai, 138. Honourable members, for the avoidance of doubt, let me read out the constitutional requirement so that there's no confusion as to who can vote, what numbers are required to take a decision. Article 104(1). Except as otherwise provided in this constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting. The vote of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. What it means is that before you take a decision, there must be at least a majority of all members present. With me, we have 138 members. That's a majority. It doesn't mean that all the 138 must vote yes or no. A majority of this 138, their decision will carry the day.
So the vote was then, he then put the vote.
I'll go ahead and put the question on the motion proposed before us. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Order. All against, say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried.
So that is a motion for rescission, and with that, the rejection of the budget last Friday was rescinded. Let's go live to Parliament. Parker is standing by with the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkroma. Parker, the minority has been addressing a press conference. Tell us more.
Yeah, so shortly the minority will be holding the press conference. That is yet to start, but let me just get a quick reaction from the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkroma, what happened a while ago. The NPP says they have now officially approved the budget, but the question has been asked about an illegality again perpetrated by the NPP, because if George Ewusu is occupying the Speaker's chair, he cannot count himself as a member of the House. How do you explain that, sir?
I mean, your words suggest that those who are saying this are now conceding that what happened on Friday night was an unconstitutionality. And I think it is good that we are all recognizing that was an unconstitutionality. Now, today, the Speaker in the chair explained clearly that there are two rules that must be met. First is quorum to start with, which I think is met. That apart from the person presiding, you must reach a certain number, I think about 92 or so. Then the second one, the rules are quite clear in black and white, that before the question is put, you must have at least 138 members present. So the question is whether or not there were 138 members present.
137 in the seat plus 138 being the Speaker. Assuming the speakership role.
Yeah. And then the second question now becomes, so does the fact that he's sitting in the seat or he has taken the chair make him lose his membership of the House? Respectfully, no. He doesn't lose his membership of the House. So when you reckon the numbers, there are 138 members of Parliament present. It is then that we can take a decision. Now, when we are taking the decision, he cannot vote. The Constitution, the standing orders are quite clear. So you notice that he did not vote. It is the majority of members present and voting who will now take the decision. And again, you notice that when the voice vote was reckoned, the majority of members present and voting voted aye. There was no challenge on it. And so we are clear in our minds that we have fulfilled the constitutional imperative. But the finance minister has also made a point that the points that were raised by the minority are points that are worth considering. Some of them can be accommodated in the estimates and appropriations. Some of them are even premature because they have not been completed, or the calculations have not been completed. So you cannot even make a pronouncement on them moving forward. And so what is important now is that we move forward.
Yeah, so talking about moving forward, there are those who said that you were seeking to build consensus with the NDC. They are not in the chamber today. And then you went on to approve the budget. Going forward, how do you now talk about consensus building to move the agenda of government going forward? Because they are very critical in our governance process.
I mean, the NDC has mentioned that we should build consensus, we should work together and move forward. We agree. We should build consensus, work together and move forward. And I'm sure that in the coming days, that's what we're going to do.
But today, you're not in the House, but yet you went ahead to approve the budget.
I can't comment on that. In Parliament, there are various ways of, going about parliamentary business. They may have to explain that. But I think that both sides agree that we must build consensus and move on, and that's where we'll go.
With the action taken by the NPP, are you expectant of cooperation between you and your colleagues on the other side going forward?
I think that the action taken by the NDP did not stop us from having a series of meetings this morning with them in pursuance of consensus building. And in the same way, it should not escape anybody from the other side joining in the consensus meeting.
I see, Evans, so that's information. I don't know if you have any question for him, but we stay here with me, Kojo Ponkroma here.
Yes, Mr. Ponkroma, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great to have you. Let's talk about the constitutional issues that this throws up. We just had Joe Owusu make the point when the count was given to him. He counted himself, which makes it 138.
Yeah, 138 members present.
Members present. Now, the constitutional provision he quotes to support this, and which also the majority leader quotes, says, except as otherwise provided in this constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. The Speaker, though, shall have neither an original nor casting vote. Today, he was a speaker. Can he be a speaker and a member at the same time?
Yes, he can be a speaker and a member at the same time. The fact that he's sitting in the chair as a speaker does not lose him his membership. But when he's sitting there, he cannot vote. And so you notice that he did not participate in the voting. But for the reckoning of the numbers, how many members of parliament are present in this house today? Today, when you take the attendance sheet, you will find 158 members of parliament present in parliament. Order 109, Article 1041, requires a minimum of 138 members of parliament before you can put a question. And when you put a question, they all don't even need to vote. So the speaker, for example, cannot participate in the voting. But when you put the question, what you need is a majority of members present.
So the constitutional questions that you raised earlier, in fact, after the Friday, was in essence that 137, which we presume, because we haven't seen the exact count, was the number that the minority had on the floor.
No, we have seen the exact count. Today, the votes and proceedings were published and adopted by the House. It says 1370. Also, the video recording of Mr. Speaker in the chair reckoning the numbers from the class was quite clear. Everybody saw it, 1370. That flies in the face of Order 109 and Article 1041. It is on the basis of that Mr. Speaker made that ruling that it is now void and of no effect, not binding. And then you notice that an addendum order paper, which still had the motion listed, was then introduced, the motion taken, and with 138 members present, a question was put, and the House made a resolution.
Mr. Pankuma, stay with me. Your friend and colleague, former colleague indeed, Inusa Fuseni, lawyer himself, former ranking on the Constitutional Legal Affairs Committee, joins us with thoughts on this very interesting development today. Mr. Fuseni, I'm grateful that you could join us.
Thank you so very much.
I'm pretty sure you've been following today.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go straight to the constitutional question that this throws up. You heard Joe Sosu count himself as part, and so brings the number to 138. And when it comes to the voting, Kojo says, well, he didn't vote, and so that satisfied the constitutional requirements. You agree that no breach has happened here?
Well, the real question to determine is whether in reckoning quorum for a house that has issues of determining the members who ought to be present for the purposes of voting, is the speaker reckoned, even if the speaker is a member of parliament? That actually is the constitutional question to answer.
Yeah, that's a fundamental question I asked, because in this case, he's yes an elected member, but today he was sitting as a speaker. Can he be considered today, yes, as he seats a member of parliament? Kojo says he can hold both positions.
Well, I am still researching around that, because the standing order says that the speaker includes a member who is presiding at a time, and so will the speaker be counted if he's a member presiding at a time? A member here means a member of parliament. So the speaker includes, and the speaker is not reckoned when quorum is to be determined. And so that is what I'm still researching. I'm looking at the practice in other jurisdictions and to see whether we have done the proper thing today.
So would you then, if the minority side decides to challenge this, it has to, would you support this going for proper interpretation? Because this is the first time this is played out for this to be resolved.
So before the minority challenges that position, we must research that issue. So I think basically we are presently researching that issue, the issue of whether in reckoning parliament, the quorum in parliament, a speaker per speaker who is a member is counted for the purposes of determining whether a quorum has been formed.
Okay, so that clearly then shows that as it stands now, there's no certainty on this matter, and so the majority side, as what has happened today, stands. The budget
Well,
in
you
essence has been
remember I
approved.
told you yesterday that one thing that I think they will do will either to go for a decision, and the decision was premised on consultation and dialogue, or they vote for a revocation. I mean, in whatever case, they can't take a decision if the previous decision is not vacated. I think you remember I said that yesterday.
Yes.
Yes. So that was what they did.
So yeah, of course. So that it comes back to the question. So as we speak now, the budget has now been approved, rescission carried, approved. You know, business as usual. All things return to as it was before Friday.
Yes. For now, that's what we have to run with.
Mr. Ponkroma, so I heard the finance minister made a point today about some concessions. If you can run us through, because I didn't get clarity on the benchmark clearly. Did he say that he agreed to reinstate the clearing subsidy, discounts?
So, Evans, first, let me say good evening to my learned senior on the other side of the line. He's right.
Yes.
That's a constitutional question. Our research suggests that he can be reckoned as a member present, and that's why we believe in the sanctity of what we have done.
Which authority reckons that?
Well, I'm sure when we have a full-blown debate on that, we can go into that one. But just to say that these are matters that I'm sure in the coming weeks we'll have opportunity to debate and litigate both in the public and other private spheres. But on the matter of the measures, which you are using the word concession, I think the minister was clear that moving forward, there are a number of things that are to be dealt with at the estimate or appropriation stage, or thirdly, at the revenue measure stage. So, for example, if you take the e-levy, the bill is yet to come to Parliament. So, theoretically, assuming there is any conversation around it, as has been raised, that can be dealt with when the revenue measures or when the e-levy bill comes before Parliament. When you take the benchmark valuation, if it is required that the practice notes of the Ghana Revenue Authority are adjusted to reflect that, that is a different process that will come in. So there's room. I mean, if you take something like a Japan, as he mentioned, the consultations are still ongoing, and so you find out that in the estimate, a Japan is not included in the estimate. Mineral royalties monetization is not included in the estimate. So that is perhaps even a premature question at this stage. So I guess the point that the minister was making, first of all, is that the issues are issues that can be dealt with in the consideration of estimates and appropriations subsequently. Remember, our colleagues in the minority have already intimated that they would like to have consensus building and explore ways by which we can move forward. Earlier today, there were several hours of meetings, and I think the spirit around those meetings were also to explore consensus and the way to move forward. So there's room moving forward to build that consensus using the instruments of estimates, appropriations, and then the specific revenue measures as they fall due ahead of us.
But on the e-levy, that stands firm. 1.75 stands firm.
As we speak now, I do not know that the executive's proposal to Parliament has been altered, but I guess I'm making the point theoretically that moving forward, all of the 5 issues that were raised are issues that can be dealt with through various instruments that are now ahead.
So as you expect now that the relevant committees will take charge now and look at the nitty-gritties and drill down.
To the extent that we want to do first of all, that's the procedure. The relevant committees will now have to sit on the specific issues. And 2, to the extent that there are issues that our colleagues on the minority side have raised that they want to have us address, again, the committee platforms are the great platform to deal with those specific ones, and then we bring it to the House.
A quick comment on the decision of the minority side, not to boycott Parliament. I mean, they didn't enter at all after the negotiations had completed. A quick comment on that.
I cannot comment on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Kojo Ponkroma. That's Information Minister. Mr. Nusa Fusedi, so you've been in Parliament for so long before you recently left. Give me your quick thoughts on everything has unfolded till now around this budget. What's your reaction to it? Surprised by anything?
Well, I'm more concerned. I'm worried. It appears that we have adopted entrenched positions, and we chose this flexible arrangement, governmental arrangement or governance arrangement, because we realized in the Third Republic that strict system of separation of powers, and where rights are asserted, it doesn't conduce to effective governance. And I had thought that I believed seriously that my majority will engage the minority, and even the MPP party will engage the NDC party. The presidents will engage, stakeholders will engage, and then to see how the impasse between the minority and the majority could be resolved amicably. But be as it may, it appears that that has not been resolved. So we are yet to see what happens tomorrow. I mean, will the minority partake in the budget estimates? Because in their view, the budget has been rejected. If the policy and programs of government have been rejected by the minority, I fail to see how they can participate in examining the estimates to support the policies and programs. So we are yet to. The events are unfolding. It's still early in the day. I'm sure the minority will meet and issue a statement, and probably will know what they are thinking, what their next course of action would be.
Mr. Fuseni, thank you very much indeed. There's a lot there to chew on. A lot of unprecedented things have just happened in Parliament today. If you're just joining us, top headliner is Parliament has approved the 2022 budget. It did so after Chairman Sabonsu moved a motion for rescission. Simply means it moves a motion asking the House to rescind the decision to reject the budget last week, Friday. These were his arguments before the Speaker of Parliament. Remember, the Speaker of Parliament today was Joe Owusu. This is Chairman Sabonsu, the Majority Leader.
Most important document that the government produces in a year was presented to this House by the Minister responsible for Finance on behalf of the President on Wednesday, the 17th of December, by a motion. Mr. Speaker, the votes and proceedings provide, indeed they have captured, that at the time of the approval or disapproval of the budget, the number in this chamber, as recorded in the votes and proceedings, was exactly 137 members. Mr. Speaker, our orders provide under Order 1091, and I quote, "No question for decision in the House shall be proposed for determination unless there are present in the House not less than one half of all the members of the House. And except otherwise provided in the Constitution, the question proposed shall be determined by the majority of votes of the members present and voting." Mr. Speaker, this provision is fortified by Article 104 of the Constitution, which provides, so Speaker, with indulgence, I want to read that except 1041, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Mr. Speaker, evidently, the number 137 that was relied on by this House to reject the budget did not meet the asset test established by the Constitution under Article 1041. You recollect that the Speaker, before proposing the question, clothed himself with Article 102.
And I want to interrupt this. This is on the floor a short while back before the vote to rescind the rejection of the budget. I want to take you back live now to Parliament, where the minority side is just about addressing a news conference.
After the terrible mess and play with emotions and play with our rules and democracy. Where people have already swallowed their ego, but just try to play with our democracy. We are here to address you after the